Hey guys, Mustached Tom here to review Wicked for Good. So, I've seen the trailer for this one a few times, and obviously there was part one of Wicked, the musical. So this is not necessarily a sequel, more of a part two to a movie, which I don't think has been a thing since the Hunger Games. This movie follows through on having Elphaba's teacher to continue to spread rumors about her being the Wicked Witch of the West. Because people need something to fear in, that is what Oz believes as well. That is his preset. And she is doing her best to free a set of animals as the Golden Brick Road is being worked on. Fights them off, but it is, fluctuated by fake news, as it were. So she wants to expose the wizard. Meanwhile, Glinda has the teacher make her that bubble that you see on the poster, and obviously the bubble she arrives in Alice in Wonderland. Oh my god! And in the original Oz movie. So, she's also given a wand as part of this process. And we even get a little bit more of a glimpse at who she was as more young, this time Glinda this time around. We do a lot more focusing on her in this movie, I feel like, than Elphaba from the first movie, but I think that makes sense. With them being a pairing and whatnot. But, watching two movies back to back where you're watching two characters interact and the shipping is, it's going to exist despite not being in the film. It is weird that I watched two movies in a row where that's going to happen, but, hey, it is what it is. Anyway, speaking of, things, moving away from that, Glinda is actually said to be married. But the soldier guy that she was interested in, and Elphaba had feelings for him too, I guess. So a love triangle with one of the arrows, broken, as it were, is sort of like the idea here. But he did not seem so keen on doing this. He plays that off rather astutely. Nonetheless, once she arrives, the teacher decides the one above Elphaba, the one who caused this commotion in the first place, makes a tornado, the one that brings Dorothy to Oz in the first place. So she was able to do this by manipulating Elphaba's message of the truth with a message that makes her appear even more, or just as sinister as she's been portraying her previously. So we cut to her sister, Elphaba's sister, who is making other bad choices, but in doing so, she claims that it is in trying to avoid being like her sister, which really is like a destruction type method, as it were. So, animals cannot travel, and nor can the Munchkins travel either, as it would turn out. But the animals that are still there are trying to escape. So Alphaba feels pulled here, as she loves her home, Oz, or the area, despite the area in question not loving her. And it is a strange notion, because I don't know how many movies talk about that. I'm struggling of ones that come to mind where, a part of the message is that you do find attachment to a place eventually. There is that sense of something to a place. And that sort of becomes the preface for the song, No Place Like Home. But the lion of the trio warns the group that she is not to be trusted. He misinterpreted, as it were, the actions she took. He sort of claims that, almost like it's like the opposite thing happening with him. The home that he had inhabited was a cage. So that's the home that he believed that, was his home. So it's sort of like doubling the edge of that sword, for him at least. Anyway, the sister sings of her fallen love, and Alphaba is around this time she decides to visit. It is the sister's initial actions by reading or misreading a spell that causes her fallen beloved to start dying, as it were. Alphaba is told to help, so she tries her best, turning him into the Tin Man, the man without a heart. Only for her to have her sister end up blaming her for all of this, despite her best efforts to try to do good. Glinda still wants to see the wizard and try to make amends, as it were. So that's what she's gonna try to do it her way, and that approach still seems to be her sense of doing things to the best of her ability. And so they both do so. They both end up with him once more. And he pretty much tells them, both of them, that once people believe in something, once they choose to believe in that thing, that getting rid of that belief is one of the hardest things to pull away from. And dare I say that might be a little bit of a jab at a god, as it were. I mean, he is worshipped as one, pretty much, essentially speaking. So yeah, it definitely is taking... I think that is pretty straightforward. Maybe one can consider that too much reading into the movie, but I think not. Anyway, so Alphaba forces him to release all the monkey guards that are flying now, because they were all imprisoned there in that tower. The main guard shows her that other animals were prisoned away in a secret chamber. This pulls Alphaba back to her original path, which was not trusting the wizard, just right after he had just regained her trust, as it were. So she releases them just as the wedding between Glinda and the soldier guy, whose name I don't remember, takes place. So the animals end up crashing the wedding because these two things are happening side by side, and they're literally and figuratively happening side by side in this instance. So Elphaba is shocked that the soldier guy chooses her in this instance. It is only here where the tornado is sent. Glinda sort of spills the beans on the sister existing to the higher ups, the teacher included, so she sends out that tornado which squishes the sister and brings in Dorothy. Now, Dorothy's presence is pretty much off-screen a lot of the time, or like we see the glimpse of her dress and whatnot. But her movie's like happening, elsewhere, as it were. Anyway, this frustration from Glinda, seeing how the love she's realizing what has happened there, she decides to smack Alfie, and Elphaba returns the favor, and they begin to fight one another. Despite that, the main guard helps her escape, Elphaba that being. And once the others try to attempt to capture her, she goes for her spell book, and because they're getting ready, they get the guard instead. So he's about to be, be put to the pasture, as it were. So she casts a spell so that he can't feel any pain, which was what leads him to becoming the Scarecrow. And this is perhaps the most interesting moral that this movie puts forth, of good deeds and it's in the form of a song, just being in the form of attention. And that is a link that is almost, universally close to true. And it's so interesting to think about that in terms of, like, why do people do good things? Is it really because they say it's for a good cause, or is it for that attention because attention is something that is gained from doing said good thing? Who's to say? And it goes on to say that no good deed goes unpunished. Sort of alluding to the idea that this attention, this almost self-aggrandizement, as it were, is just not doing her any favors. So she Elphaba, is set on being this wicked witch she has been presented to be all along. She's set in that path. Meanwhile, Glinda sings about her beauty being something that has been masked, or something or rather along these lines. So she sneaks away. Meanwhile, Elphaba wants to get her sister's shoes back. So she grabs Dorothy, or has the monkeys grab Dorothy anyway. So that is the wickedness that she proceeds to go through. And their moment here, when they're talking, she's also using it so that Glinda can continue to be seen as the good witch, as it were, despite Glinda not having a strong or any sense of magic, as it seems. So obviously the two sing up in a pair, saying that they have changed each other for the better. And again, it's weird that I've watched two movies also do this back to back, two characters who seem to, within the context, share a very platonic, moments throughout the movie, yet simultaneously have both movies have both characters that are shipped both say "I love you" to each other. I kid you not, that is what is happening, and if you see the next movie review, you'll know what I'm talking about. So stay tuned if you come this far in the video. So obviously, Elphaba hides Glinda away. Dorothy proceeds to have her moment. So that this is where her movie proceeds, as it were, killing the Wicked Witch of the West. She grabs the stuff to have proof. It is revealed once Glinda gets this vial, the green vial. She proceeds to give it to Oz, and Oz finally realizes that Elphaba was his daughter all along. And now he has been shunned by Glinda permanently. She proceeds to have the teacher arrested for her actions, and the monkeys take her away. And so, the guard, who is now a scarecrow, proceeds to grab Elphaba under from the hatch that she actually hidden behind, using her effects to make it seem as though she died, proceeds to leave. So, Glinda, using, now utilized as the seen as the hero, uses her wherewithal to let the animals back in, and all the other bits that I just mentioned, arresting the two, or arresting the teacher and barring Oz. The spell book begins to move for her, assumingly that, meaning that she's now capable of reading it or something along those lines. And that is Wicked for Good, as they share their final song moments, reprising how they changed each other for good. So, yeah. I think this is it follows, because I had seen the play after watching the original movie, to follow the play pretty solidly from what I can remember of it. It's been a bit. And yeah, it definitely has some interesting messaging here. Continuing on that vibe of not everything is what it seems. Propaganda, how powerful, it's continuing that message of how powerful propaganda can be. And what does it mean to do a good deed? Things of this nature. And obviously explored from the first movie, continuing the animal uprising. And, every action that Elphaba takes being undermined and subverted from the teacher and Oz to, create this villain, create this need for everyone to fall in line, as it were. It really illustrates that finality of it all. That it is just the mirage, the man behind the screen. It pretty much is that, expanded in a different context. that's from the original Oz, you know, the man behind the screen. Dorothy is the one who also finds this out. So it is so interesting that, you know, so much of this movie sort of puts her, like, she's like a non-character, essentially, in this, for the most part. I mean, the other three have speaking roles at the bare minimum. She does. I don't think she says a single thing in the movie. I'm pretty sure, anyway. And yeah. So, in terms of the musical numbers, I think that they use certain reprisals, so they're definitely keeping track of what they're doing here. And for the songs that were added in, are much more for the context, and No Good Deed is definitely this movie's, to the previous, Alphaba's Cry for Gravity in the first part. So that's sort of like the equivalent song, that power song, as it were, that's meant to drive the biggest sort of thing going on. Anyway, really solid second part. I can imagine everyone who has seen the first part of Wicked is probably likely have already seen or will see this movie as well. I mean, that's usually how that works. I mean, especially if you're sold on the idea, right? You're going to want to see how a thing ends. So, I think this movie will do really well, if it hasn't done well already. And that's my review of Wicked for Good. If you ended up enjoying this review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure to check out those links in the description. 100 to my petition about small YouTubers. Second, to my PayPal, which can help support me, my channel directly. And third, to my Discord server. You can join, collab, shield, do all that cool stuff for free. And until next time, everyone, bye-bye.